Weekend. Dad asked me what was going on, but he meant it like, hey bro, what's going on? Like a dude punching another dude's shoulder at the beach. So I said, nothing, because that's what he wanted me to say. If I am made of stone at home, no one can bother me. If I am made of stone at school, no one can bother me. Paul says even stones have to crack to let out steam. But what he doesn't understand is that there is always someone who wants to stick their head in a crack and sniff around. Ha ha ha. But seriously, Paul is so annoying. Day 30 something. Hartwick was looking at me from his office across the hall. I wanted to say, you can't look at me like that. I wanted to say, hide those beady eyes back under your greasy lids. I wanted to say, go away. But I didn't say anything because the nurse was putting antiseptic on my lip where it busted open. After I fell on it in the hallway when Robin tripped me and said, Poetry boy can't write sentences or walk either. And Giant John laughed. It's a shame, really, how Mrs. Smithson ignores Robin as he seeks revenge. She is depriving him of the ceiling stain, of Hartwick's tie nightmare of the day, of the shouting about responsibility. The moth-faced boy flies free. Again. My heart beat in my lip. Mom pinched her face up tight. She made sure I didn't need stitches. Philip high-fived me. When I said, you should have seen the other guy, Petey just rolled his eyes and Paul sighed real big. But there was no other guy, unless you count Robin, looking innocent, as Mrs. Smithson and Harry bobbled by. Robin says it's time for another poetry bandit thing. I told him to go rip out a page from the library. He said no, that I should do it. Blackmail stinks. Another good band name. I put it up before I gave to Robin. I think he grew 3 inches just from being mad. He wanted to get caught putting it up by me. I told him to go sign his name if he really wants all the credit. But someone has already thrown it away. The teachers. They learn fast. She is a great, huge, ugly girl. She can't be a lady. She is a monster teacher. We despise her. Tuesday. Mrs. Little looks at me sideways. I know she wants to say something, but I don't want to listen, so I pretend I don't see her eyes in the corner of her face, like a hieroglyph. It's not like I never had a fat lip. That's what I want to say to her hieroglyph eye. Every time I look at her and see her, she is staring, and she doesn't look away. It's like she wants me to see. She's looking, searching, telling me something that I can't hear, just like my lip keeps a beat to a song I can't hear. I'm glad for the books today, heavy in my hands. They go on the shelves, one after the other. I don't have to think, I don't want to think, building a fortress of books all around me. I worked for an hour before I realized today is Tuesday, the day after my library detentions ended. Wednesday. Rocks don't eat lunch. Rocks don't eat at all. Rocks don't hide from moth boys bent on revenge. But I'm hungry. Ham sandwich in my backpack, left the chips at home. Too noisy. If I sit back by the old encyclopedias, Mrs. Little doesn't see me, or pretends like she doesn't see me, and I can eat in peace. No one spilling milk on my food accidentally. No one saying roses are red, violets are purple, Kevin writes poem because he's a girl. That's a terrible poem, by the way, though Gerpel would be an awesome word. Tried to leave the library, but Mrs. Little tapped me on the arm. Her cat butt face was in full force, but her eyes were softer. Maybe. I've seen what you've done to the books, she whispered. I'm aware of your little schemes. She sounded like she was a ghost from England. I pulled my arm away and ran, trying to disappear like I was a ghost from Bustedville. The noise again. Maybe that should be the band's name. Just the noise. They make their screeches and whines like robot animals fighting to the death. Today I scream with them. I feel lost all the time, a toy in a shoe, a sock in the trash. What do I do? The boy who is lost, though they see me right here, I cannot be found, but I can't disappear. Until Petey comes to my room and tells me to shut up. Your dumb rhymes are ruining the music, he says, and I want to laugh, but it sticks in my throat because ruining things seems to be my new specialty. Thursday. The poetry bandit is in trouble. Mrs. Little knows it's me. Robin knows it's me. Robin wants it to be him so he can be king of the school. Am I going to be king of the school now? I highly doubt it. I don't think you can be king if you're expelled. I put this one on Mrs. Little's desk, so maybe she'll know why I hurt the books. Fighting for some way of escape, it's no use. I should have saw mine coming. The intercom buzzed in social studies, and in front of everyone it was announced, please send Kevin Jameson to Mr. Hartwick's office. Ooh, giggle. You're in trouble. Harry the Mole bounced at Freckle-Faced Kelly and Robin, of course, to walk me to the office. Buddy system. Not. Water on my pants. Well, not just my pants, my crotchal area. Thanks to gum on the water fountain. Gum I didn't see. Robin almost passed out from laughing. I almost passed out from not punching him. Luckily, Robin doesn't know why I was called to see Hartwick. All his poetry bandit dreams down the drain. I can still hear him laughing while I sit in the office. Yeah, well, we'll see who laughs last. At least Freckle-Faced Kelly didn't laugh. I mean, Kelly didn't laugh. The stain on the ceiling again, in shape of a cauliflower. The stain fills my pupils, my brain, my ears. Instead of Hartwick and Mrs. Little's words discussing my fate for defacing school property. In my defense, I did not remove any faces from anything. I stare at the stain and congratulate it in my head for getting bigger since we've seen each other last. 2 more weeks' detention in the library. Not expelled, but I'm on thin ice, Hartwick says, his favorite thing to say. And I trotter in my head on the brink of a lake paved with icy poems cracking under my feet. Young man, purple veins pulse to get my attention. Last chance. Fingers shake at me. Out of here. Mrs. Little stands, and so I do too. Thin ice. Repeated, ringing in my ears. Thin ice, thin ice, thin ice. As a side note, I have composed an ode to Hartwick's tie. Clearing throat noise here. Oh, Principal's tie, you make me want to scream, because you are the color of puked up Neapolitan ice cream. Why did Mrs. Little have to tell? Her eyes seemed to like me, her ears seemed to hear me. Why would she want me in trouble? Maybe she's lonely in the big library all by herself. Maybe she needs company. I don't really mind being here, though, even if she stares at me with her hieroglyph eye. There are no sabotage water fountains in the library. Friday. I tried to explain better about everything. It will probably backfire again. I ripped this one out of a book from home. Once a child had a great power and was dreaded by all the world. Then he let himself down again. He was terribly afraid. A thief suffering terror the name of Robin. She makes me explain what I mean, so I do. You've got yourself in a bind, then. She looks at me over her glasses. I nod. Just tell him you've been caught, Kevin. His poetry bandit machinations can go no further. I don't know what that means, except that she still doesn't understand. My hand on the door. It vibrates with the robot murder noises. The keep out sign shakes a little too. Today I yell into my invisible microphone. Rumbling, stumbling, fumbling, crumbling, and there is nowhere to go. I've become easy prey, and there is nowhere to go. Go, 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 go. But I've become easy prey, and there is nowhere to go. The door yanks open. Petey is sweaty, his eyes black arrows stabbing at my face. Get away from my door, you creeper. Hey, man, the one friend says. The guy who looks like all the rest of them. His rhymes are kind of maybe not half bad. Petey's hand goes to the middle of my chest. His palm against my shirt. He pushes. I stumble back. Get out of here, turd. And he slams the door. But I smile, because I'm kind of maybe not half bad. Monday, 398 GR. This is the section for fairy tales, not the section for a random photocop page flittering around making a mess. I take the loose bag page to the trash, and then I see the page has the word wolf circled in red, like an invitation. Later Monday. I put my poem on a shelf with the poetry books. Hopefully, Mrs. Little will find it there, properly shelved, and maybe she will understand. Wolf, you do not hear how sweet the wolf can be. Tuesday. On my desk this morning, a familiar page, copied from a familiar notebook about a familiar topic, having to do with a familiar mole on a familiar teacher's face. On every desk, a familiar page copied from a familiar notebook about a familiar topic having to do with a familiar mole on a familiar teacher's face. On Robin's moth face, a familiar look copied from a familiar face I used to see in a familiar mirror when I was stuffing a familiar someone under the familiar sinks. Stolen a page from your own book, hmm? That was Mrs. Smithson. She actually said it, in her familiar voice, out loud, before she grabbed most of the papers and recycled them. I am not a stone, I am not a rock, I am not giant and unblinking and cold. There is an earthquake in my guts, shaking and quaking, quaking and shaking, cracking and jagged, jagged and cracking, breaking everything into sharp points, poking my insides until I want to scream. But instead, I put my head on my desk and close my eyes slowly and wonder how the earthquake in my guts isn't shaking the whole classroom. Kelly looks at me. Her head is on her desk, too. Those freckles are the same color as the desk, like the desk has splashed a little on her face. She blinks. I blink. She slides the paper into her lap, the paper with my hairy poem. She crumbles it and drops it on the floor. She smiles. I stare. One side of my mouth twitches up. It's hard to smile with so many jagged pieces. Thursday, 001.94. Not the poetry section, the mystery section. But there's a book misshelved, a book with poems and quotes, short and funny, that go off like firecrackers in my brain, surprising me until I laugh and laugh for the first time in days and days. And I see her smile, Mrs. Little behind the checkout desk, not looking up. I put my poem in the book and put the book on the right shelf with the other poems. Maybe Mrs. Little will find it, like I found her misshelved book, and maybe she will laugh with fireworks in her brain.